It has been a long time since fans have been this mad at Fortnite, and today, I'll tell you why. There's a long list of problems that Epic needs to address, and we'll start with the most obvious. So, this season Fortnite added a weapon that was basically 7 guided missile launchers at once and thought it wouldn't be the most broken thing in Season 4. So many streamers and players didn't even realize you could aim this thing after already firing it. So even if you miss, you could just correct the course and hit every single shot. Now that wouldn't usually be a problem if it wasn't combined with 7 rockets heading straight for your face. So Epic finally stepped in and were basically forced to make a change. But the damage hasn't even been nerfed. Only the explosion radius has been reduced by 15%, so we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. Moving on to the second problem, Fortnite dropped the double jump medallion, and instantly I knew it would cause problems. I just didn't expect it to happen so quickly. Because it turns out when you combine it with sliding, you basically turn yourself into the world's fastest moving target.
Oh my god, he on X-Games mode.
This thing has become one of Fortnite's most infamous medallions. Literally none of the previous ones have felt this powerful, but it turns out it's not lasting long. Epic just threw it on the ground, stomped it into the dirt, giving both of them a huge nerf. So what changed? Well, the slide boost is 50% slower, and the double jump is barely noticeable. It is almost 30% less of a boost, and if that wasn't enough, it also takes double the stamina to do it. And while everyone can agree it's kinda overpowered, it is the Halo fans that have their own complaints about Season 4's Battle Pass. Like, imagine getting energy sword pickaxes, tons of edit styles, immediate unlock on Tier 1, and the skin is even free if you reach Tier 100 without buying the pass. Like, what more could you want? Well, let's talk about the Spartan's design. You see, it's meant to represent a female Spartan, except fans have pointed out that the actual women in Halo have way bulkier armor and actually look like super soldiers. The Fortnite version feels really slim and weird. After all, Spartans in general, no matter what, are seen as bulky and strong soldiers, so Fortnite slimming them down, it just looks kinda off. And not gonna lie, I can't unsee it now. It does kinda seem out of place. Moving back in game, we have a way to get an insane amount of loot, but fans are not happy with it. The A-tier bunkers, they're easy to get into, only requiring you to level up twice, and yet by the time you could enter, they're usually in the storm. On your journey to get there, you need to waste slots in your inventory just to carry white heals, and that's not all. This wouldn't be bad if all 4 of the bunkers on the map were active, but for some reason, Fortnite limited it to just 2 of them open per match. That means you could go all the way to the nearest bunker, and it's just chained up. So I'm not surprised you guys are annoyed over this. It feels kinda silly to add all of these POIs and then just give us all these inconveniences for using them. And I'm also not surprised how everyone is telling me how overpowered the wrecked revolver is. Not only does this thing have insane accuracy, miles long range, and the ability to double pump with no delay, but imagine what happens when you pair it with the things we just talked about, like sliding, double jumping, and the swarm strike. Yeah, boy. In fact, this was such a problem that Fortnite just gutted the weapon. Now, you'll see much less range and a slight damage reduction, although even that is still powerful. Then Epic hit us with the biggest change, banning double pump. There is now a 1-second delay between them, but luckily, you can still combo it with shotties. Another major problem in Fortnite right now is that getting S+ is extremely difficult, especially in the time limit you have per match. Normally, it wouldn't matter that it's so hard to achieve, but Epic designed an entire exclusive boon for this, and it's the only way to get items like the Mythic Scar. So I went into a private match to try and get this, and with over 34 eliminations and 2 bosses taken down, I still couldn't reach it. That's insane. Normally, fans would be going crazy over the difficulty, but it's actually the only barrier stopping the new weapons from being even more overpowered. So technically, it's kind of a good thing right now. I also speak a lot for people when I ask, where is Helldivers? After all, the entire season is inspired by the game, from the upcoming airstrike to the lead spitter, and the whole OXR based on Helldivers and Starship Troopers, so like, where's the collab? It's crazy to think that Fortnite went out of their way to capitalize on the hype for the game by doing it themselves, and then just didn't let us play as them. And it's a reoccurring theme, like when Wreck came out, and all anyone could talk about was how it was obviously inspired by Mad Max, Wasteland Desert, to the scrap metal cars and the heavy metal music, not to mention the fact it literally released the same week as Furiosa. And we never get a crossover. It makes 0 sense, and now they've done it again this season. It's even weirder because Sony owns a stake in Epic Games, and they also own the right to Helldivers. We've gotten the MCU Spider-Man, Ghostbusters, Miles Morales, Godzilla, RoboCop, the list goes on, and yet it's hard to believe that Epic wouldn't have been able to get Helldivers from Sony. The only logical conclusion is they simply didn't ask for a collab, and that's even weirder. So while we sit here and wonder what happened, let's talk about the group of Fortnite fans who can't even play this season. Turns out when you design the entire map around insects and creepy crawlies, some people, they just don't like it. They just want to play a shooter game, and now they have to fight hordes of bugs. Obviously, it's not like they're giant spiders or people with arachnophobia, but they still unsettle quite a few people, and fans were hoping to see some kind of slider that tones them down a little, kind of like Grounded does. And you guys won't stop pointing out that the brand new sweeper shotgun, it needs to be stronger. Well, it's pretty nice to have something like the old tack in the game. No one seems to be picking it up when other shotties and even the new revolver are in the loot pool, and they do the same job, but even better. When I looked into the number one thing you guys would change about the new battle passes, an insane amount of people all had the same answer: drift. He's back in the new OG season with the Rift Reaver Drift outfit, and while it looks really cool and super similar to the exclusive version, there is one thing missing: his face. Back in Chapter 1, you could take the mask off to reveal some of his face, and it was meant to show that this is the very same guy from the Season 5 trailer. That's right, he was here spray painting Durburger's head in the Cali Desert before getting rifted into Fortnite. Well, you wouldn't know any of that by looking at the current skin, because there is no edit style that lets you take off the mask. If I showed you every single post complaining about this, I'd be here for hours, so it's obvious that fans really want it. Hopefully Epic decides to give it out as a bonus reward or an additional style later down the line, because it means that only actual OGs from Chapter 1 get to enjoy it for now. Probably one of the weirdest decisions Fortnite has made has to be the removal of auto claim. So basically, if you have the Fortnite crew and are trying to balance 3 battle passes at the same time, this auto claim button has been saving a lot of time. It immediately grants you the next tier every time we level up. You know, the way battle passes are supposed to work. Well, at the end of last season, Fortnite just deleted the button with zero explanation, forcing us to manually unlock tiers for all 3 battle passes at the same time. It's super annoying, and if you don't mind doing this, then you could simply disable autoclaim, but now we don't even get a choice. Fans were praying it would return with Season 4, but it's still missing, so I guess this is our official plea to Epic: bring autoclaim back. So, as I'm going through all of your guys' comments and concerns about the season, a pattern is starting to form. Basically, every new gun in the loot pool, it's overpowered. The revolver, the swarm strike, the medallions, and now the lead spitter. In normal BR, this thing absolutely shreds builds, and it has literally 0 cooldown, so you can just unload 600 bullets at a single enemy without a care in the world. And personally, I do kind of like it, but I can see why pro players aren't so happy about it. Bruh. Now, if you remember the whole Colombo situation from a couple years ago, we were all enamored with this adorable guy running around the map, only to log in one day and find his skeleton instead. It was a dark time, and I don't think we fully moved on from it yet, and Fortnite just did it again. At the start of the month, Epic tweeted, "I love sprites. I sure hope nothing bad happens to them," with the most ominous video I've ever seen. So what happened next? Well, fans replied begging Fortnite to leave him alone, only to be given goodbye posts from the sprite saying, "Remember me always," and "I'll watch over you." We really should have enjoyed the time we had with them, because once Season 4 dropped, sprites were officially vaulted. And judging from the 1,000 replies to this post, fans are devastated. Here's where things truly get weird, because Fortnite has also been vaulting items that just came out. One of the many new exotics in Season 4 is the Shotgun Slow Launcher, and I give you the current opinion on how useful this is, except nobody has gotten the chance to play with it. In just days of releasing, Fortnite deleted it from the loot pool because if you tried to pick it up, it would just disappear. What about when Fortnite messes up so bad they have to refund players? So this all started when Season 4 dropped and they gave us the Skate NATO spin emote in the shop. Well, it wasn't long before people quickly realized it was basically a ripoff of the old Tornado spin. Okay, it's pretty lazy, but if you already own the old one, you can just avoid buying the new emote, right? Well, that's until you realize this was included in the Satellite Striker bundle, and there are plenty of players who wanted the full set, but have the old Tornado Spin emote. Essentially, this meant that the bundle was 100 V-Bucks more expensive than it would have been without throwing the Skate NATO in there, and that just kind of sucks. So fans went on social media to complain about Epic shoving reskins down the throat to justify higher bundle prices, and turns out they actually listened to the fans. Soon, everyone who owns both of these these dances will be given 100 V-Bucks or given the chance to refund their skate NATO without using a return ticket. And later down the line, they're gonna go even further by offering both of these emotes together in a separate bundle for a heavy discount, which makes sense. If you want them both, there is no point paying twice for basically the same thing. So you gotta love Epic for doing that. Although, on most of these things you guys have been complaining about, it's pretty universal. Every season we have some feedback that I don't fully agree with. The best example is with the huge monolith on the map. It's actually teasing an upcoming concert instead of the storyline. Now sure, it's disappointing that something which looks as cool as this, it's not gonna be part of the mystery we have to unravel, but it's also not surprising. Fortnite has historically always been known to tease collabs like this, especially recently with festival artists appearing all over the island, and even item shop skins like Deadmau5 getting their own room. Remember when the Wanderer showed up and we all thought it was a cool new original storyline character, and then he just turned out to be Dr. Doom? Well, it still ended up being a really cool teaser that everyone kinda loves looking back on. So before we judge the monolith, let's see what it has in store for us. Although I definitely agree with you guys pointing out the major performance issues in season 4, because it feels like every time a new season launches, it runs horribly, but recently it's been worse than ever. Thanks to micro stutters, rubber banding, server lag, frame rate drops, and more, some are arguing this might be one of the roughest launches we've had in a long time and are hoping Epic drops an update soon that'll optimize it more. And you can't really argue with that. Now, if you look at the new battle pass, it's just as confusing because if I showed it to you without any context, it'd be impossible to guess the theme of season 4. It's only when you dive deep into the backstories of the OXR characters that you understand they're the bug fighting squad. But other than that, it kinda lacks a theme that people resonate with. Most of them are just original skins dressed up as agents instead of at least throwing one or two villains in there. Usually we get the bad guy too, whether it's Kato Thorne, Fletcher Kane, the Cube Queen, the list goes on. But considering there's no single villain this season, I guess they had no one to add. After fans brought up this problem, they all had the same answer. We should have had some kind of insect skin in there. Like even the bug scientist who appears in loading screens could have had his own slot instead of just being an item shop skin, and I 100% agree with this. Even when we get cool and unique designs for outfits, their concept art is usually available to the public, revealing they could have been way better. Let's take a look at the best examples. Fans are shocked that skins like Danica originally look like this in the surveys, and turns out there's an explanation. Usually concept art is very stylized and doesn't always look great when translated directly without any changes, so why do they make changes? Well, sometimes it's for the strangest reasons, like how they didn't like Midas's glasses, so they deleted them, and that's when we realized he had them because of his statue on the yacht, and that means it would have been a last-minute decision. Either they just didn't like how they looked, or they were glitching out through his skin with some emotes or something like that, who knows? One of Fortnite's funniest mistakes in this pass has to be Gamer Maze emote. So here's what it looks like to your enemies. Except you wouldn't use this while facing someone. You use it when a game ends or after you've eliminated someone and they're spectating you. So when you use it the way it's supposed to, everyone will just see the letters backwards instead. Awkward, but hilarious. And it wouldn't be a new Fortnite season if they didn't change XP levels yet again. Epic are becoming notorious for making XP super hard to grind every so often, and fans are already begging them to buff how much we get for completing quests. Like, it's gotten so bad that people are relying on AFK farming creative maps and Lego just to level up. Another thing fans have noticed is that the OXR rifle, it kinda sucks. Well, at least the more common versions like green and blue have terrible bloom. And if you don't believe me, it is literally making people give up and rage quit.
Nope.
It's not as annoying as the fact that medallions and mythics can straight up get you banned from your lobby. Because if you kill a boss at the worst spot, they can drop the items into a wall, and then you just spend all that time and effort earning these for no reason because you can't even grab them. Although it won't be as controversial as Fortnite's returning collab with Balenciaga. This set hasn't returned since the fashion company were in hot water for some very inappropriate commercials, and we just assumed Fortnite would never work with them again. Well, we might be wrong, because Epic are gearing up the set for a return later this season, and I am so interested to see how fans react to this one. Let me know what you think is the biggest mistake in Season 4. Hopefully Epic Games watches this video and fix it all. It's been Tommy, and keep it here on Top 5 Gaming.